Greetings, my name is Aina Adrana binti Muhammad Rudi. I will explain the background of the crime case and the uniqueness of the case. So Jenny Lou Gibbs was an American serial killer from Cordell, Georgia. Between 1966 and 1967, she killed her husband, 3 sons, and a grandson by poisoning them with arsenic. Her primary motive was to collect life insurance money from each death. End of the year 1965, Jenny Lou begins to poison her husband while he was in the hospital. She brought him poisoned homemade soup. On January 1966, the husband dies, but the doctors initially attribute his death to a liver disease. On August 1966, her 13-year-old son, the youngest, dies. His death is initially assumed to be due to inherited liver disease. On the next year, 1967, January, the 16-year-old son suddenly dies. Doctors list his cause of death as a rare muscular disorder. At the end of October, the grandson, a healthy infant, dies suddenly. Shortly after that, the last remaining son, the father of the infant, dies. The rapid, unexplained death of young healthy man and his infant son raised a significant suspicion. Late 1967, one family physician suspicious of the pattern of death, so they referred the case to the state crime lab. The autopsies found and confirmed that the death of the infant's father due to fatal amount of arsenic. On December 25, 1967, Jenny Lou was arrested for the murder and all the bodies of her family members were exhumed. Autopsies finally confirmed that all victims had arsenic in their bodies. Jenny Lou Gibbs killed because of the life insurance money. Each death was profitable to her. The uniqueness of Jenny Lou Gibbs' case lies in the stark contrast between her public persona as a devout and caring community member and the chilling reality of her serial poisoning for financial gain, which was cleverly masked by misdiagnosed disease. Firstly, the evident faith and social status. Jenny Lou had an outward appearance and active role in her community as she ran daycare from her home and was described as a devoted member of her local church. She donated portions of life insurance money she received from her criminal actions to the church. This charitable behavior helped deflect suspicion for a considerable time, making her crimes even more insidious and shocking when revealed. Second, multiple family murders with natural cause diagnosed. She managed to poison her victims, who initially had their death attributed to natural causes, as the poisoning symptoms mimic similar symptoms as liver disease, hepatitis, or muscular disorders. The symptoms experienced by multiple family members was considered as inherited conditions, allowing her to continue her spree. Next, the motivation of killing was primarily for life insurance. She strategically took out policies on her family members, making their death profitable for her. When financial gain is a common motive for murder, the consistent and sole stated motive for Jenny Lou Gibbs was the collection of life insurance.
Hi, I'm Sharmila. Let's analyze the case. For arsenic poisoning cases, the initial challenge would be the ability of arsenic to mimic common illnesses, whereby their symptoms are visually indistinguishable, which often lead to misdiagnosis, as what occurred in this case. However, with forensic capabilities, it ensured detection, as what in the targeted toxicology conducted on the last victim that confirmed fatal arsenic level in his kidney system. So this showed that despite arsenic destructive nature, it cannot be consumed thanks to forensic toxicology. So in regards to the exhumed victims, arsenic also showed exceptional stability, whereby it can be detected even after prolonged burial and decomposition. So this highlights the crucial aspect of arsenic toxicology, whereby the retention would be days in blood or urine, but it will be months to years if it's in hair or nails. So even though it's not specified in this case, but the possible samples taken from the exhumed victims were hair or nails, because these matrices act as the chronological recorders of exposure, whereby it allows forensic toxicologists to map out period of arsenic exposure. So the detection of arsenic in both the fresh body and the exhumed victim established a strong forensic evidence, because there were consistent presence of the same unusual poison across the five victims, which pointed directly to one common source, that is Jenny Lou, as the only caregiver. So this eventually led to her confession and conviction. And for the analytical method, in this case study was not specified, because the focus was to confirm the presence of arsenic and whether it was in a fatal amount rather than detailed speculation, because back in the 1960s, it was not a routine forensic capability. but the task would include quantitative and sensitive technique like the Marsh test or the emerging atomic absorption spectrometry. As compared to now, we have the more sophisticated ICP-MS, right? But think about this, even back then, with the limited contemporary analytical tools, forensic toxicology still can provide irrefutable proof of foul play and overcoming the initial diagnosis and exposing Jenny Liu.
The case of Jenny Lau is a tragic reminder that most dangerous individual does not always look dangerous. What makes this case especially disturbing is not just cheating, but how long she was able to get away with it. Jenny Lau was seen as a devout church member, a caregiver who ran a daycare, and an active part of her community. But behind her trusted image, she poisoned 5 members of her own family, including her children and grandson, using arsenic, and yet, for a year, no one suspected her. Why? It is because the system in place at that time failed to connect the dots. Today, I will present a focused action plan which includes 5 key recommendations that, if implemented, could prevent the cases from slipping through the cracks in the future. So the first suggestion is mandatory toxicology for questionable and suspicious family death. The initial step is to enhance our medical response to death that lack explanation. In the case of multiple unexpected fatalities within a single family, especially those concerning children, comprehensive toxicology testing must be compulsory, and this should also include the testing for the toxin such as the arsenic. In this case, arsenic poisoning was incorrectly identified as a liver disease due to the stimulus symptoms that resembles typical illness. So this led the medical response to conclude that the death was due to the natural causes. Had comprehensive toxicology testing has been conducted sooner, it might have alerted authorities and potentially averted additional fatalities. Arsenic is now understood to reside in the body for an extended period. The technology for its detection was available as early as in 1960s, and now it is even more precise. So what we require is a precise protocol that guarantees its application when required. The second suggestion is to utilize the technology to assist in identifying repeated patterns of death in families. So we suggest establishing an automated notification system that alerts the medical examiner or the authorities when there are several deaths happening within the same house in a short period of time. So in the Gibbs situation, her spouse passed away, and then her son, and then another son. But however, nobody realized the pattern. If had such an alert system been in place, it might have initiated an early inquiry which could possibly save some life. So these focus on working more efficiently, not with more effort, since it only uses data to identify what people might overlook. Our third suggestion is verification of life insurance in a death investigation. Jenny Lau secured life insurance policy for all her victims and gained financially from their death. She actually contributed and donated a portion of the money to the church, which further solidifying her image as a compassionate, caring, and selfless individual. In instance of unexplained or questionable death, we suggest that the life insurance claim should be automatically examined during the investigation. If an individual stands to benefit greatly from the death, it should trigger a deeper examination. So it is not about presuming the guilt, but rather it is about to ensure that the financial warning signs are not overlooked.
Outcomes of the case. After the death of multiple members of Gibbs' family in less than 2 years, authorities grow suspicious. The bodies of the deceased were exhumed and examined by toxicologists. A full toxicological screening was conducted, and chemical analysis revealed the presence of arsenic in each of the victims. As a result, all 5 deaths were reclassified from natural causes to homicide by poisoning. Gibbs was initially declared mentally unfit to stand in trial and was confined to a mental institution where she worked as a cook. Years later, after being deemed competent, she was prosecuted, convicted, and sentenced to 5 life terms for all the murders. She remained in prison until she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and released into the custody of her sister. Gibbs later on died of natural causes in a nursing home at Georgia in 2010. In conclusion, as she was motivated by a desire to donate to her church, Jenny Lau Gibbs poisoned her family members to collect life insurance money. This case revealed how appearance can be deceiving, as the truth behind the Gibbs family death was eventually uncovered by investigators. Who would have expected a devoted wife, mother, and church member like Gibbs to be hiding a chilling truth behind her kind image? Between the year of 1966 and 1967, she poisoned her husband, 3 sons, and grandson using arsenic. Each death was initially believed to be natural, allowing Gibbs to collect life insurance money after every loss. Because arsenic poisoning can mimic illness, her actions went unnoticed until the sudden death of her last son and grandson, which raised suspicions to the authorities. This final tragedy prompted toxicology tests which confirmed arsenic poisoning and led to the exhumation of her early victims. The case exposed serious gaps in how multiple deaths within a single family were investigated, especially when the death is happened within a short period of time. Due to her calculated actions and pattern of financial gain, Gibbs was sentenced to 5 life terms in prison until she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, where she was released into the custody of her sister. The flaws in this case now serve as a cautionary reminder for toxicologists to remain vigilant and thorough when handling future suspicious deaths.